That's very interesting. You had earlier mentioned GDPR and data protection and those issues, right? That is a critical issue here. If domestically we are to produce some form of regulation for AI, and I feel something, I do think that something is in the works on this. How can we protect data, especially when it comes to sensitive data for Pakistanis? If beyond just the legal realm, but like the government starts using ChatGPT using AI models, how can we ensure that this data is protected? Is it the same things that you had mentioned that you put in those guardrails, keep it localized?
Data centers have become an issue of national security.
Okay.
Right, because sovereignty.
Of course.
How many data centers do we have in Pakistan?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, almost none. Right.
Okay. Wow.
Now here's the thing, right? All of these data centers. So let me just explain. You have your laptop and you put in something really heavy and you try to open that file and a sound comes on and the fan starts to turn on. You're like, what the hell just happened? That's basically the laptop consuming a lot of energy to open a very heavy file or read a ridiculous amount of data.
Yeah.
And it produces a lot of energy to perform that operation and the fan turns on because it needs to cool itself in layman terms, right? Data centers have hundreds and thousands of terabytes of information stored within them. That's the information and the knowledge base on which you train AI models.
Wow.
And to store that amount of data requires an immense amount of electricity, energy, right? And it requires an equally large amount of cooling power. So you're talking about water, you're talking about you get what I'm saying? So just to give you an example, Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, said that if the United States, I think the US currently has around 13 nuclear power plants, 13. It says if we want to maintain our AI superiority in terms of China, we need to create in the next 5 years 90 nuclear power plants. So this is the energy that I'm talking about. You see Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and you see all of these people talking about building data centers on the moon and leveraging the sun's energy. You see China officially stating that we're going to build the world's first data center underwater. Why? Cooling. Wow. Are we having those conversations in Pakistan?
I think we're pretty far away from those conversations.
So you see, any AI policy needs to first address.
We need to build data centers on land first here.
We need to have land first and enough water, right? So there were pehli cheez. So you see, the thing is, I think the Ministry of IT and Telecom is doing some phenomenal work when it comes to giving Pakistan direction. I think the National AI Policy is really good. It talks about AI upskilling 1 million people. There's organizations such as Atom Camp, for example, that are actively involved in teaching faculties around universities and have bureaucrats in the Civil Services Academy.
Wow.
Work is happening. I'm not saying it's not. Ignite has a lot of these competitions. You see, these are all good, these are all fine, but these are things that come towards the end. The first thing that I need to think about as the government is how sovereign is my AI. Are the consultants that are working with me, where are those consultants from? I have a huge issue with this, right? What data centers am I leveraging? And where am I hosting all of this, right? Gul Ahmed Energy has just announced that they're building the first data center in Karachi. Gul Ahmed Energy.
Okay, wow.
Now, we need to see what the mechanics of that are going to be like, right? Sovereign AI should be the first priority. So you build systems, you build enough storage space, energy systems to be able to power your AI infrastructure locally without having to rely on data centers in the GCC, without having to rely on data centers in the US. You just saw what happened 2 days ago when Iran bombed the data center of Amazon.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
They just did that. It's a risk. We live in a very
and that had but that impacted Claude and that impacted a number of.
It did impact AWS services, but of course you have backups and everything, so they were able to get them up and running. But again, it's a risk, right? We're living to quote the Canadian Prime Minister, we're living through times of rupture. In these times of rupture where everybody is looking internally to build their indigenous capacity, are you really saying that you're going to leverage external data centers to build your AI capacity? That does not seem to me like a good direction. When it comes to upskilling, when it comes to building solutions for different businesses, leave that to the private sector. That is not the government's job.
Okay.
The government's job simply needs to be that they need to ensure that our AI is sovereign. Tomorrow, I as Enablify should have the option to host my AI systems that I built for, let's say, a blue chip company on a data center located in Karachi using models that are built out of Pakistan. That's where I want to get towards. I can't get to it without a ridiculous amount of investment, and that's where the government comes in.